Well, GP and health commentator Dr. VM Sharma joins me now from Melbourne. What's your response to this new rule? Do you think it is sensible, precautionary or unfair?
No, I think it's completely, unbelievably disproportionate. I think we were all shocked to see how this is all developed, because this began with this talk about reducing the number of flights, and there was some criticism, although it was muted. And then when we found out that there was a complete ban, I mean, you can imagine the fear this strikes into everyone who's trying to come here, and our family members who we have. You know, there's a substantial Indian diaspora in Australia, and to know that there are our own family members who can't come back, it made us so incredibly sad. It also made us, feel very sad about what we're learning our place is in this country. These measures have been completely an overreaction in a way that I don't think we would see if we were seeing such a surge happening in other countries. In fact, I don't think we did when that happened.
What was the reaction, when there was a surge in the UK? Of course, there's been big numbers in the States as well. What's the comparison there?
No talk of flight bans, no talk of threatening imprisonment to people who get around the flight bans. In fact, we know for a fact that we were seeing higher per capita rates of positive COVID cases in the UK and US during their surges, and people were welcome here. In fact, we know for a fact that there were more positive cases coming back into quarantine from the USA during January than we're currently seeing come back from India to Australia now. So, it's horrible. It's horrible to know that this did not happen to a completely different set of people who look very different to us, and a completely different set of rules is being applied. And not just as the rule of the bag, but the screw just keeps getting tightened. The fact that we are being threatened with imprisonment of 5 years if people do manage to find their way out of a country where COVID is causing the health system to collapse, literally running out of oxygen. If people manage to find their way here somehow, they're being told to pay $60,000 or go to jail for 5 years. That's ridiculous.
And you put this purely down to discrimination, to racism on the part of the government?
Well, look, that's probably the less charitable interpretation here, and I'll leave it to the government to justify what they think. But if I were to give it my most charitable interpretation, on face value, it's that the Australian government has such a low risk tolerance to an outbreak occurring in Australia domestically out of quarantine that they are happy to abandon its own citizens, in India as the healthcare system kind of collapses. But the problem with that is that if you are so averse to risk that you're willing to do this, why weren't you working to bolster infection prevention and control in quarantine? There's been a lot of debate in Australia about recognising airborne and aerosol-based transmission, improving ventilation in these places. We're finding out that we are still in the process of vaccinating quarantine workers. So if we are so averse to risk, great, let's bolster infection prevention control. We haven't done that. Instead, we can see that the first knee-jerk reaction has been to stop these flights and then to punish anyone who does make it through. That's the most charitable interpretation I can give. So, it's up to the Australian government to justify to us why they're doing this. But I can tell you right now, no one, no epidemiologist, no fellow Australians, none of the Indian diaspora are satisfied with any of the explanations we've been given so far.
Okay, Dr. V.